Hey everyone, welcome back to another Fusion 360. Gosh, I gotta quit saying that. Autodesk Fusion tutorial. Today we are gonna go over adding some knurling to the surfaces of your 3D prints. I actually just got done publishing this on MakerWorld. This is a little mini screwdriver kit. So you can see I've got some 1/4 inch bits, some 4mm bits. It comes with a little keychain cap, and these screw into these little bases. And I also made one for Gridfinity. And on the bottom, they have little labels. But you can see I added knurling to all these just to give them a little grip. If you are interested in printing any of this, I will leave a link to the Maker World. You can download it for free and print it out. So let's hop into a new design and we're going to go over how to do this. And we're just going to kind of do something similar to those screwdrivers, and we're just going to create a cylinder to do it on. So you're going to go up to create cylinder, and let's pick this bottom plane. So it wants me to choose which plane to start the cylinder, and we'll just start on the bottom. And then drag your mouse over or move your mouse over to the origin until it kind of snaps to that origin. Click and let go, and then drag out. And let's just go 15mm. Click, and then we'll drag this up maybe to 40mm and hit OK. So let's remember that 14mm diameter, 40mm tall. So if we go back to these screwdrivers, you can see I don't have the knurling going all the way to the end. It kind of stops here in the middle, and same with the cap that would eventually go on top of this. It stops in the middle as well. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And then maybe if I have time, if the video is not getting too long, I'll also show you the correct way to make it go all the way through. So we're going to create the knurling with the coil tool. So go up to create and coil, click on coil, and it wants to know what plane we want to start on. However, I'm going to backtrack. I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to teach you how to make that knurling not go all the way to the end. So we need to create an offset plane. So we're going to come up right here, and this icon right here is an offset plane. So click on that, and then you can click on the bottom of your cylinder, and then let's drag that offset plane up 5mm. So you can see I just created a new plane. So if you come up here, you can turn on the origin, and I'll shut off that plane. And you can see the origin is right on the bottom here because that's where we started that cylinder. And if I turn on the construction plane, I just created a new one that's 5mm up from the base. And that's where we're going to start our coil. So go up to create, coil, and it's going to want us to pick a plane. So click on that plane. And then now look what happened. That origin has moved up to where that offset plane is. So move your mouse over till it snaps to the origin, click and let go, and then drag out. Now it won't click on the diameter here because we're in the middle of it, but I believe we did 15. And you can just type that in, hit enter. Okay. So here is our coil. I'm going to make it go this way in the other direction. Now, when you get into coil for the first time, you're probably going to see something like circle on center, and this may be the section size might be much bigger, and revolutions might be like 3. So that might be what it looks like when you first open up coil. So what we're going to do is we're going to change let me do the section size first. I'm going to change this maybe to like 0.75, and that just makes the diameter of the coil smaller right here. And we're going to change this to internal triangle, and that just means the point of the triangle is pointed inward. That's why it's inward internal triangle. And we're going to change this to inside, meaning it's now on the triangle is now on the inside of the diameter we chose, which is that 15mm. So now you can see how that I go to the front view, you can see how that triangle is on the inside here and it's pointed internally. Okay, now we want to do 1 revolution and we got to get our height right. So if you remember, this whole cylinder is 40 millimeters. We started 5 millimeters up and we want to leave a 5 millimeter space at the top. So our height has to be -30. And the reason it's negative is, if you remember when I first opened up the coil tool, it was pointed in the other direction, which would be the positive number. And it's negative now because we're going in the opposite direction. Okay, so remember this, 1 revolution, the diameter should be the diameter of the cylinder you're trying to put the knurling on. You want triangle, internal, inside, and then your section size is however big you want it. You can change these numbers, especially the section size, to fit your needs. So let's hit OK. And now you can see it cut that coil out of my cylinder. So now we need a cross pattern, right? So now we need the same thing, but going in the opposite direction. And so we do not need to recreate that coil. What we can do is create a mirror. So go up to Create Mirror, and a little window pops up. And again, this will most likely be at bodies, object type as bodies when you open this up. But we're going to click on this and do features. So now the object or the feature we want is, if we go down to our timeline, is that coil. And you can see it selects that, and also 1 selected, so you can see you did it right. Now the mirror plane, when you click that, it's going to bring up those planes, and now we have to pick which mirror plane we want. And let's see if I get it right on the first try. So we'll click this one first, and that is not right because we want these two touching each other, and you don't have to do it that way, but it'll be cleaner if you do. So we don't want this plane, we actually want this plane. So let's go back up here and we're just going to exit out of that plane and we're going to choose this one instead. So now you see how the two ends are touching. And compute type, I think adjust is fine. One of these is faster than the other. I think adjust and identical are fast, and optimize take a little bit longer. But either way, once we start patterning this is going to take a little bit of time. So let's hit OK. And now we've got there's our cross, our basic pattern, or our basic coil. I guess I'm not sure what you'd call that yet. Now we're going to create the pattern. So come up to rectangular pattern. If you don't see it up here, it's going to be under create. That's going to be all the way down here under pattern, and you can choose circular pattern. Just keep in mind, you see how these are sectioned off? So create has a bunch of thumbnails up here. If you're looking for something up here that's not there, it'll always be down in this drop-down menu. So let's hit rectangular pattern, and from that window, we can change it to circular pattern. Again, the object type is going to be features, so change it to features if it's not at that. And now let's select our features. So we're going to select the coil and the mirror. Once we have those two selected, it wants us to select the axis. So you click that. And there's a few ways you can do this. You can click and hold over that z-axis and then click the z-axis. Or you can just click the circle or the diameter, which they'll both do the same thing. We're going to pattern around that diameter. And you can see it already selected 3 of them, so it's patterned this 3 times. So let's bump this up to maybe like 20. And let's see how we do. So I'm going to hit OK, and I'll speed it up because this will probably take about 20 seconds once I hit OK. All right. Then again, that took about 20 seconds for me. I am running an older computer, so if you've got a faster, newer computer, it might be faster, but there you go. There's your knurling. And I'm not going to take it really past this as far as what the knurling looks like. You can change how this looks like, or how this looks, by messing around with the different settings. So if we go all the way back to coil, you could do maybe 0.75 revolutions instead of 1. Now, if you do that, your ends won't line up, but that's okay. You can still make it work. It just might look a little differently. So I'm just going to cancel. You can change, oops, let's get back into that. You can change the section size, so how big this triangle is. You know, you could go back to circle and see how that looks. So there's lots of ways you can change this. And another way is if you go back into pattern, you can change the quantity. So obviously the more times you pattern this, the tighter this gets. The less you pattern it, the looser that knurling gets. But that's basically it. So I'm going to kind of backtrack here, and I want to show you what you would do if you wanted the whole thing knurled. And it's pretty basic actually, and I won't even go through all the steps, but so let me get out of this. Tell you what, let me go all the way back to the beginning. And I'm just going to right click and delete all features after history. So we're right back to that cylinder we made. So if you want to do the whole thing, you don't want to start the coil. Let me find coil. Where am I at here? Coil. You don't want to start the coil on the surface of your cylinder, because what's going to happen is you're going to end up with some weird patterning at the top and bottom. It just won't quite look right. So like before, we're going to do an offset plane, and we'll just start at the top this time. We'll click this, and maybe let's just do like 5 away from the cylinder and hit OK. And so now when we create this coil, let's click on this plane. We will click here and we'll just type in 15 because that's our diameter. And we're going to just drag this down for now. So now remember, this is 40. The cylinder is 40. The coil starts 5 millimeters above it, so we need it 5 millimeters below. So our height now is going to be -50. And if we do the 1 revolution, we'll bring this down to like 0.75. And everything else I think is right. So now I'll just power through this so you can see it. So now let's mirror this. So let's create mirror features. We're going to do the coil, the mirror plane. Let's just see if it's this one. That's the wrong one. So let's do this one instead. Is that the right one? No, I'm confusing myself. Let's try this one. There, that's better. You see how these would connect with each other? Again, you can do it the other way, and you should try it if you just want to see what it looks like. It just creates just the tiniest little bit different pattern. So let's hit OK. So now we can rectangular pattern. We'll do the circular pattern. We will select our 2 features that we want. The axis will just be, now this time we may have to actually choose the, let's just see if this actually works. Let's just go to 20. The only reason I was saying we may have to actually choose the z-axis because now this circle is broken, but it may still work. Let's just do 20 for the quantity again. And let's hit OK and see what happens. And there you go. And it worked. We could just pick that top. So actually that looks a lot better. I like how much bigger these coils are, but these little bump outs are. But you can see how now that pattern goes all the way to the end. And actually, to be honest with you, if you didn't want, like on my screwdrivers here, if you didn't want these jagged edges here, you still wanted that space, you'd have to do a little planning ahead. But what you could do is just create another cylinder on this plane and go out 15 millimeters and then drag up. Let's just say 5, whatever we want to do. Hit OK. And now you just created a more, I guess let's see how different that is. It's definitely different. This has more of like a triangle jagged edge here, and this one now has kind of a straight edge. So if you still wanted that space, you just have to make that initial cylinder a little smaller and then create your solid cylinders 15. Let's go down 5 afterwards. And actually, I kind of almost like that look better, but there you go. I hope that was helpful for you guys. I know there is a subscriber of mine that wants me to show you how to do, oh, do I even have this? Let me create a sketch real quick and let me shut this body off, and I'll kind of show you what he wants. So I'm going to shut this body off, create a sketch. Let's do a polygon. We're just going to make this really fast. Finish sketch. He has a body like this that he wants to knurl all the way around it. And that's a little bit more complicated. You can't just do the circular pattern, right? Because these flat spots would get missed. You pretty much have to do your knurling pattern on one flat edge and then pattern it. It gets a little bit more complicated, but if interested, let me know and I'll make another video on that. But hopefully I have at least given you the right way to do this. And again, play with the numbers, play with all the different things you can change, and you can do it differently, make it look differently, but that's pretty much the basics. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe if you like the content, and I'll see you on the next one.